Welcome to the Pearls of Wisdom podcast, where we mix business, law of attraction, spirituality, and well-being with great guests and phenomenal stories. You'll hear hints, tips, and up-to-the-minute information on digital communication from an expert in her field. Pearl has some wonderful individuals in her networks, and she will be interviewing them all at some point in the future. Enjoy your listening.
Okay.
Well, hello and welcome to another of these really special Pearls of Wisdom podcast episodes. Today, I'm speaking to the wonderful Josephine Kalagira. We have been sitting here, we've put the world to rights, pre-record, and we've said, right, what topic are we going to talk about? And today, we are going to talk about the self-care toolbox, because we think everything that's happened currently with lockdown, are we coming out of lockdown? Where are we going to be? And how do we actually look after ourselves? This is what we're going to discuss. And it is my pleasure to have the wonderful Josephine with us. Welcome, Josephine. Thank you for coming back to the podcast.
Oh, thank you so much, Paul, for having me. My pleasure to be here as well.
It is. I mean, we really enjoyed, we put so much to write it, and then we said, right, what topic are we going to talk about? And like you said, I mean, you're the self-care queen. You know all these different things. You inspire me in everything you do. So let's start. Josephine, can you mention one thing that you feel should be in this self-care toolbox?
I feel like ourselves.
Yeah.
The number one thing is us.
Yes.
Because if we're not in, we might look at the external things that we should, like mindset, this and that. But if we're not in the toolbox ourselves, we need to tune into ourselves and be in that toolbox in order for the things to come out, like to see what areas are we going to talk about, what are we going to look at, so that we can. Yeah.
Definitely. And I think it is. It's almost when we take ourselves as a whole, we can look at it from the lens for spirituality. We can look at it for wellness. We could look at mental health, specifically where we've been in lockdown.
Absolutely.
Coping mechanisms. How do we fit this into our business? There are so many areas when we talk about self-care and we say, yes, we put ourselves first. And most people will say that, yes, always make sure that we go first. But then if we're thinking, if we've got a business, if we're growing our business, we have to care for our business as well, because it's almost like a child that we are birthing that idea to bring it out to everyone. And it's known we need to look after that as well.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really get that, because I feel I call that owning ourselves, because if we do not, our business shouldn't run us. We should run our businesses. Yes. We should run our lives and have that in our control in order to be more productive, to feel like more rejuvenated. If we don't have enough time to self-love, self-care, our self-esteem can be like, anyone could tell. If I did not come to you, if we did not, if I wasn't in the right place, for example, to talk about what should we talk about, like we are now, the lockdown is a little bit eased, and we might just feel like things are coming back to normal and we go wild. But there is a possibility that if we go wild, if we don't protect ourselves, if we don't take the precautions, we might be coming out. But it does not mean that the virus is just, is gone. No. So we just have to feel like we tune into ourselves, would be a bit more reasonable and say, we can't get overexcited that we coming out, go to different sorts of places where there are crowds of people and not even allow self-distancing. Because if we don't, our businesses, our lives, imagine if you feel ill. Some people are living alone. Some people have got young kids. Some people have got elderly parents that they're looking after. And if we do not take that into consideration to care about ourselves, we can't care about our businesses or
and there's almost that thing, it's that it's the parachute or the airplane analogy, where they say that if it's going to crash, you put your parachute on first before you help others, because and by doing that, you are then nurtured and you can help other people. But all the time you think to do for everyone else, you might run out of time to put the parachute on for yourself, because you've been so busy helping everyone else and you haven't put yourself first.
And they might not make it because you were not strong enough. Imagine sometimes there are times in my life where I felt like, you know what, I'm caring about what people are saying. I'm caring about the things I can't do. But how about the things I could just manage to do in order to care for myself? Like I had to block out some areas. Like you have to stop, like literally press when you feel like things are going out of hand, because we are humans. And sometimes we get overwhelmed. Even when you're the queen of coaches, there is a time when you feel like you need to press the stop button in order to restart that and reflect. Look at the things. What are the things that are getting you to that place of being overwhelmed, anxious, and feel like, oh, I feel like I can't do this anymore. But when you reset that button and start again, you're starting to reflect. Like, for example, lockdown, seriously, it's like, it's caused, I don't even know how to explain it, but it's caused a lot of harm because people have lost their lives and everything. But also there's been some opportunities in it. I've been speaking to so many people who have said, you know what, Josephine, I've had time to reflect. I never really knew what it is like to be indoors, what it is like to stop. I now think better. I feel like I know where I'm going. But before, it was like on autopilot. You're just going and going without knowing. Some people thought going to work, getting the money was their joy. But when you try to speak to someone, or when you even check into yourself and think, I'm doing this for my kids, I'm doing this for my partner, I'm doing this for my other close family, I'm doing this for my friend. So where are you in this? And what happens when the fuel runs out? You're deflating yourself. And when you're the strongest person in your life, like you have ever been, once you get demotivated and feel like go down, you're deflating yourself. But to come back up is such a challenge. Do you ever find yourself do that as well, Paul?
Yes, definitely. And what I'd say, and that almost, you've heard me talk about the authentic self. I use that phrase a lot, and I think it is from digital social media, and people say it used to be authentic, and then I think people took it to mean take selfies and take photographs of my dinner and share it on social media, which isn't what we mean by authentic. But it shows you put yourself out there, you make yourself vulnerable, and people see, and they can see themselves in you.
Yes, absolutely.
Because we can everyone does this thing, like when you see all these people that are saying that they've done a wonderful day. You've heard me say it regularly, where when people share an image of their fantastic dinner, they do not show you the 5 that went in the bin because it didn't work in the first place.
Absolutely,
And this is a real bugbear of mine, because that impacts people's mental health, because you've got young children that are just starting. We've got the whole generations that live on social media, and they live their lives through social media. Where we've been on lockdown, we've all lived our lives through a digital prism, because we haven't done that face-to-face contact that we normally do, where we could read body language. I mean, where we're talking, most people will just listen to the audio of this. And I talk with my hands. Anyone that knows, I'm talking and I'm gesticulating and everything. Now, people can't see that when they're listening, but it's showing up as that person. And showing even the people that are doing phenomenally well. they can't keep that up all the time. We all have down days, and that's normal. And to understand that and embrace it and see,
yes,
it's peaks and troughs. We all have the high ones when we've got a particular date, we're doing a new launch of something, so we go really excited and we go all out and we promote it, we get all excited, we bring everyone in, and then you reach the peak, and then suddenly when that's over, it all goes quiet and you think, oh, what do? I don't know what to do now, because I've been planning for this big day, and then you suddenly hit that drop. And absolutely. I think people are going to be like this with lockdown, where people have worked from home. I think the new norm, I think more and more people will get more home time for work, but I think it's giving the option so that maybe 2 days a week you get the chance to go into the office. Yeah. But for overheads for business, if they can have people working from home, they don't have such high overheads for rent for premises. So maybe that extra money goes into pay rises for employees. You don't know. It's seeing that positive in it and saying, how do people approach that? I mean, how are you viewing this? Do you see a new norm, or do you see it all going back to what we knew as normal pre-COVID?
I actually think it's going to be the new norm. Yeah. Because I call myself a setback to comeback queen for the same reason. Having gone through like different sorts of phases in my life, I accepted it, I acknowledged it, and I trusted that myself that, you know what, it's all happened. I just need to come back up stronger than ever, without saying that, you know, it's all right. I'm gonna take a beautiful picture. I'm gonna do some nice makeup and just come back and to see me. I embrace all the things that I have been through, and we all get hurt, or we all get broken, or we've all faced the pandemic. Equally, there is not been a less or says, apart from the people who have lost, we've all lost our loved ones in this. We've all just gone through this, friends, employers, people who are self-employed. Everyone has been affected. So I'm thinking, like, to the employers, for example, they'll have to be putting things into place. Maybe people will be some will be part-time at work and sometimes working at home. But I think they will have to be looking at procedures and self-management and how to look up after people's mental health and well-being, because we've been affected. Even with the top people, they faced it. And I've spoken to quite a few of them, and they said, you know what, Josephine, you are right. You are right. This is what I felt. This is what, people felt like they just want to jump out of the house, but didn't do that. And again, people working who are employees as well, maybe they've had different realizations, reflections, knowing, am I in the right job? Do I need to change something in my life? How do I, maybe they're finding value. People are finding more value. Again, that comes to self-care as well, because you find value in the things that you've been doing before. You're evaluating that, and you're coming to these big realizations and say, I think I need to make such changes. I think I've taken you for granted. You have to confess, and you're like, I've been taking you for granted before, and now I see your true value, and I'm gonna respect you. I'm gonna do these kind of things, and how we carry ourselves, and for people to perceive us, rather than sugarcoating that things are okay. It's okay to be, you don't want sympathy. Like, for example, some people share things about them, and they just leave it there. They just want people to know what they're going through. But how do you turn that around? How have you turned it around, or how would you want to turn it around, rather than feeling like, oh, I'm not paid, or it's the lockdown, or like the negative self-talk. Like you're just negative talking yourself. It's gonna put you more down. It's gonna make you feel like you can't do anything. Your ideas will be blocked. You won't get any downloads. Like, the downloads we've just received, both of us, just before we came live. You're just thinking, oh, I've got this. Oh, I'm thinking about this. Oh, I'm seeing this. So it's the new norm. People are wiser, people are clever, people are more aware, and they know that actually you cannot be the person you are. Just like how I used to feel like, I've got my legs, I can walk, I love my shoes, I love all these kind of things. But then when I got injured and I was dwelling on that, but I was able to embrace the person I am. I still have my brain, I still have my head, I can still communicate to how I want to be perceived, rather than dwelling on the things that we've been through. We need to find the good that there is, because if we keep thinking negative, if we keep doubting, are we gonna go back into lockdown? Are we not gonna go back into lockdown? Like those questions, if you keep questioning yourself, then you're gonna be in the mode. But how about thinking a bit more positive? How about thinking about, not overstretch yourself to feel like, oh, I'm going to explode. But it's taking step by step, evaluating different things in your life, employers evaluating that, service providers doing the same, and we all care for one another.
Yeah, definitely. And I'd say one of the first things, we need to start looking at gratitude. And I know for some people that's hard, because like if they've lost loved ones, we should all those that have come through this pandemic, that have come through lockdown, we should be grateful and give thanks, because there's an awful lot of people, well, there's millions, isn't there, that haven't. And if we look at that, we can be grateful that we've achieved that and that we've come out the other side.
I strongly agree.
Yeah, and then it's looking at that emotional scale, because you've heard me do that, where I've actually quoted, and you go from the feeling right at the bottom to get you to that love and joy at the top. And it's just, it could be an affirmation, it could be just a way that you bring yourself up, that you might be worried about something and you think, right, yes, I'm feeling worried. How do I change that feeling to bring it up higher and to move from there? And it's almost getting into that habit, and it's that self-talk where you can connect, and also having those special people in your life that you can reach out to and almost have that. And I'd say we're talking about this toolbox, I'd say have maybe 3 key people in your life that are in that toolbox with you, that if you're feeling down, there's going to be someone that you can reach out to, and they will just get it. They will get you, and they will help you. And some people will almost say to you, no, come on, you've got to be feeling positive. That's fine when you're in a good frame of mind. But if you've had a down day and you're maybe having a wobble, people don't want, when you use the word sympathy, we don't always want sympathy. We want empathy. Now, if you listen to Brené Brown, when she talks about vulnerabilities, I've just been listening to that on Audible. That's been where I've been doing my walking. And when she talks about that, and there is such a difference. When you are empathic with someone, you really get them. You feel what they're feeling, and and people then feel brave and confident and comfortable to share. All the time someone gives sympathy, oh, poor you, I just want to go and nut on one, I really do. But that's my southern coming out. But it is, I just think to myself, have some compassion, have empathy, and understand, feel what that person is feeling. Anyone can give sympathy. It's a half-hearted attempt to be there. I mean, there are times where we will say like a deepest sympathy, but when you say that, if you're sharing words of sympathy, you're saying it with empathy, if that makes sense. It's sympathy on its own is a very empty feeling. It's an empty emotion. And if you try that for someone else, they will feel it too. They will feel that you're not fully, we go back to being authentic. You are not being authentic and showing up for them.
Absolutely.
If you don't take on the empathy and actually fully understand and be there to support each other. And this is, we were talking about the different people I've interviewed on the podcast and the network and what we've done. When we look and see that is a positive for that's a positive for lockdown, for out of COVID. I've met you. I've met most of the people that are now in my network that I talk to every day.
Absolutely, yes.
COVID, I didn't know them at all. And I am looking forward to the day when we can all actually meet physically and give each other a hug, because we've spent over a year, well over a year now, where we talk online to people.
Yeah.
And we know we can make that real. And that's another piece in your toolbox. Know that you are going to make it happen, that these people are going to be there.
Absolutely. I strongly agree with that, because it's the way forward, moving forward, moving on, and knowing that you can't give up now.
Yeah.
We've come this far, so we can't give up now. And surrounding, like you've talked about, having those key people in your life that you feel like are non-judgmental, they will be able to tell you how to get back up stronger, as opposed to feeling more lower than you've been. Because like sometimes I feel like that because of various concerns in my life. But I know if I'm feeling like really low, I know who is this person that is going to even give me a giggle. It does not even have to be so much. It could be a smile. Someone smiling at you, or calling you and calls you hello gorgeous, hello lovely, hello darling, like those nice words. You're doing brilliantly. And even an emoji from someone, for example, it just puts you into that right mindset to feel like, you know what, come on, I'm gonna get back up. Sometimes for people who are suffering with pain or disability, and some people don't like to talk about it, or they haven't disclosed it to anyone about it, and you're feeling so tired and fed up because various experts are taking you to A, then you're going to C, then you're going to D, and you're saying they're not giving you time, you're on heavy medication, and it's not doing anything good for you. But in that aspect, in our toolbox, we talk about not giving them your power. You've got the power in your hands. Whatever they haven't done, they're not in your shoes to do those things. Because if you don't articulate yourself and say it as it is, some people everyone is so busy, and they haven't got time. Like when it comes to, before you go in, you have, like, for example, if you're very forgetful, or if you're teary, people struggling with emotional distress or pain, you tend to go to certain appointments, for example, and you're crying. And you forget in that moment. You've got about 10-15 minutes, you've cried 10 minutes, and now you're thinking of what you wanted to say. And the next thing someone will do is to give you another prescription or send you to A and C. But what part of self-care do you have in place? If you know you get so emotional, how do you control that? How do you manage it? Do you write things down? Like, then we talk about like journaling. We start to journal even when you don't know anything. Even when you don't know, sometimes you don't know what you're saying or wanting to say or thinking about, you just write. Keep writing. By the time you come back to it, you might write, and that's therapy for you. That by the time you get to see whoever you want to see, you're feeling more calmer. You haven't got the anger, the anxiety for someone else who didn't help you the way they should. Again, we call that taking ownership of our lives, and know who is it that we're gonna talk about, reach out, make them listen to us, because we have to make people listen to our needs. If you came to me and said you want to be helped and you don't know what you want to be helped with, although I create a safe space for you to be heard and supported, there has to be a certain reason behind what help you need, at least a starting point, so that you get helped. Yeah. Otherwise, it comes back to us.
And it's being aware and knowing, because I remember having a discussion where I've done my corporate work recently, and it's almost, and you have to be interviewed again, and you get out of the habit, and like you will see, this is the positive that's coming out. If you look at the recruitment currently, there are more jobs out there than people to fill them. Now, I know people are going to listen to this and say, oh, I lost my job, I was made redundant or whatever. But now there is that positive. This isn't a business-led stop. It was all done through the problem with the pandemic. So it was like something that hadn't been planned. It isn't like a recession. It's gone into a massive negative simply because everything stopped. But just as easily as it stopped, when we come out the other side, it can restart again. So yes, some of the businesses might have to look at a different model. Because of the way it's there. And also, we were talking about working from home. Now, I know, I work from my office, which I'm lucky enough to have enough bedrooms that I can have a spare room, and that's my office. It for ages, probably started about January time, my neck was hurting me. And I was thinking, what's that? Have I slept wrongly? And then it suddenly hit me. When you're in an office, you'll have HR and everyone that will check with you so you can see whether you're sitting correctly in your chair, you're looking at the computer properly. How many of us have sat round a kitchen table with a chair that doesn't support our backs properly? And doing this because they're doing. So how many people sit on the settee and put a laptop on their knee and type and then look at the TV or something? Yeah. And then they suddenly realise they're starting to ache, and it's something that they hadn't had before. Yeah. That, I think, is something we need to address and understand, because even, like we're saying, with the new norm, I think more people will work from home. Yeah. Where we were saying that maybe companies won't have the overheads of rent in offices, but they might have to look at sensible office equipment for their employees working from home, so that they do have the checks, that they maybe they just have something that rises the computer that bit higher so that they can make it. I mean, do you remember me laughing on when I did the retreat? Because I was so small, I was sitting on 2 pillows on my chair so I could actually be seen in the actual camera. Because and then I thought to myself, I've got an office chair that allows me to go
up and down. Yeah.
But I've still had to get a special cushion because I can't be, people can't see my face properly. And I was suddenly seeing on the Zoom calls, I was halfway down, or almost, do you remember that thing that people used to draw about the little face and the hands over the wall? I felt like that because I couldn't see, because and it's things like that I know you've worked in HR, and the amount of things that people look at, there's loads of different ways. Yeah. And I think that is going to be a massive pull to HR departments and to companies when people do come back, or they're going to say they're going to need more help. It might need, so they might not know how to ask and realise and just say, oh, maybe I've slept awkwardly. But no, it's the way they've been sitting that they haven't considered their posture as they're doing their work. And it's almost, it goes back to what we were saying, where we put ourselves first. How do we show up every day? Even if we're working from home, how do we show up? Because I will find, if I'm doing something specific, I dress the part, and you've all seen me share all the pictures of my lovely shoes.
Oh, I love the shoes.
And I will get, and I've got my power dresses and everything. Yeah. And I think, right, I'm going to wear that because that works, that colour goes, that scheme goes. Yeah. It's all things like that. But to begin with, how many people were just living in their dressing gowns, weren't they?
Yeah. I like that, Paul. It's because we need to be, again, aware and pay more attention to that, because I know businesses, the employers are going to be putting things in place, and sometimes the employer would assume that you have everything at home. Sometimes, because of what we've been through, they will assume if you do not speak up to let them know, they will think you do have all these things in place.
Yeah.
And because every business has been injured in a certain way, people would want to reduce their costs.
Yeah.
But if you need to put yourself in that mindset, like, am I comfortable? Am I sitting properly? How is my posture like? If it isn't, and you're finding, it's affecting how your productivity during the day or your mood, you need to speak up, talk to HR or speak up to someone. And if you're self-employed, you need to invest in yourself to make sure that in order to be productive, in order to let other people see that actually, she doesn't look like, looking down, people seeing your head like that. So you sat comfortably so people can trust and believe in you as well. Yeah. So we just have to know. And when you're home as well, try to dress up, like put yourself in that mindset as you would be waking up and go to work. Just do the same at home. Wake up, have your breakfast. Make sure you give yourself breaks as well. Some people will constantly go without having anything. Rather than snacking, make sure time yourself. When do you start? When do you have your break? When do you start? When do you have your lunch? When do you start? When do you have your snack? When you finish? Program yourself in that, put yourself in that mindset. It will help to intuitively tune into what you're trying to say and not feel like you're disrupted or when you're in a gown, you feel like sleepy, you're more down. And of course, if there's any challenges for people who are employed, you just have to reach out and speak up, because I am a very great advocate to express yourself in a way that defines the person you are, as opposed to keeping silent about it. No one knows what's going on until when you speak it out. And that's when you get the support that is tailored to you. Yeah.
And sometimes, like you were saying, if you're not sure and you're preparing for something, you might be speaking to a line manager, make notes. Because like we're saying, you can do that for interviews. If you've made notes for an interview and you refer to them, the person interviewing you will see that you've done the research, you've put the thought into it, and that you've made the effort. Likewise, if you're having a one-to-one with your line manager for your personal development or something, and you bring these things, or just like if there's going to be a phased return to an office or phased opening up from lockdown, have a list of what you want to say so you've got those key points, because then you can address things, you can address worries, you can address
concerns,
the things you want to know. Exactly.
Yeah.
And you can almost tick it off and go through, like we were saying, if you go to the doctors and you say all these things and you have a very short appointment time, you don't always get to say everything you need. Whereas if it's written down, you can go through. And if it even comes to the end, you can say, well, yes, I've got a few more things I wanted to cover. I can see I'm going to need to make another appointment.
Yeah.
But you know that the things that were most important to you, you've got that message across.
Yeah. And that stops people from stereotyping. You might say, I didn't think that. Some people will write things up, but if you've written it down, some people will say what you haven't said, or will think what you meant was that particular thing. But if it's not verbally come out of you to express it, there will be some stereotyping from what you've said to what the other person has perceived. So expressing yourself as well is, very good for a toolbox.
It is. And I've just realised the time. We did have a cut-off time, didn't we? So
yes.
Right. So let's bring our discussion to a close, because I could talk to you all day long. I really could.
we could talk all night and all day. Love it.
If you could suggest 3 key things that people would take away from this episode and to put in their toolbox, what would those 3 things be?
Would be having a self-care routine.
Yeah.
It would be embracing the person you are. because life is so precious, and being so grateful for everything you've achieved to this point. Yeah.
And I'd also like to say for this, everything that Josephine's talking about, she covers in the work she does with her clients, be it one-to-one or in groups. So we will put all the details of how you can reach out and connect to Josephine, like I always try to do, in the descriptions. So I know you'll come back and listen to this episode again and again, because there are so many nuggets, there are so many pearls of wisdom that we've covered. And we know, Josephine, you're going to be back. Josephine's going to be a regular on the podcast, as the listeners know, and we will cover so many different things.
We surely will. Yeah, thanks, pal.
It is a pleasure. Thank you, Josephine. It's been wonderful having you on the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Pearls of Wisdom podcast. We hope you have enjoyed the content shared. Please share with others who would like to enjoy these interviews and discussions. If you would like to support the podcast, please follow the link in the episode description. If you want to be a guest on the show, reach out and let's discuss next steps. Until the next time, enjoy your listening.